Welcome to Retirement Mentorship. I'm your host, Freeman Lindy, Certified Financial Planner. Last week, we talked about should you buy an index annuity. We covered 4 reasons why people love to sell them to you. And I've often said about insurance products, right? Insurance products are sold, not bought. People will often seek out great strategies, great accounts like a Roth IRA or an HSA. These things sell themselves. They're just excellent strategies. But people need to sell you a insurance product. So there are 4 reasons why people love to sell you these products. Number 1, there's some downside protection. Number 2, there's some upside potential. Number 3, the cost is free. And number 4, the one they never tell you about, the commissions are high. Right? So there's good reasons for them to sell them. Only 3 of them which are good for you, potentially. But there are 7 reasons for you to not buy a index annuity. So we're going to cover those today. So here's the 7 reasons, and then we're going to go through each one individually. Number 1, they lock up your money. Number 2, they have hidden costs. Number 3, the companies can change the parameters after you buy them. Number 4, they average less than the index that they're tracking by design. Number 5, the caps and floors are completely skewed down to below average. Number 6, you will miss out on dividends. And number 7, they protect against what is unlikely. So let's look a little bit closer at each of those. So all annuities have surrender periods. All commission annuities, including index annuities, have surrender periods and surrender charges that they will penalize you with if you try to get your money back out. And these range anywhere from 6 to 15 years, but most of them are 7 years. Right? So if you have the product, if the product has a 7-year surrender period on it, then if you try to take your money back out, if you try to get your money back during that period, during those 7 years, they will charge you a penalty. And you will pay a giant percentage just to get your money back. And so right in there, again, that hidden cost, that's reason number 2. Index annuities have hidden costs. Index annuities are free, people love to yell, but only if you follow the rules. If you want your money back, you're going to pay this big surrender penalty. And yes, they usually decline over time with the successive penalty going down with each year that you hold it. And so it may look something like this, right? Where in year 1, it's a 7% penalty all the way up through year 3. And then maybe starting in year 4, it declines by 1% all the way. Year 7 is a 3% penalty. And then as soon as you get out past year 8 plus, there's no more penalty. But again, for the first few years, there's often a 7% penalty for getting your money back, right? You put $100,000 into the annuity, you change your mind 6 months later, you pull that $100,000 back out. Oh, it's not $100,000, it's $93,000. It costs you $7,000 to try out this product. And does that 7% sound familiar to you? Yes, if you listened to last week, that 7% is that commission that they paid the financial rep. They've already paid him the 7%. So if you want your money back, they are going to keep from you what they already paid to that rep. And you have no idea. Here's the thing, right? We have no idea what's going to happen in your life over the next 7 years. Our life can change so dramatically in any given year, and certainly over that many years. And so locking up your money for that long is just not a good idea. Now, quick side note, there is a free withdrawal amount on, I think, all annuities. I think it might be a law. Most annuities will let you pull 10% out per year, penalty free. And because of that, some people have asked me, does this make sense? Does it make sense to use a fixed index annuity as a good blue bucket in my red bucket, blue bucket strategy, which you can find out more about in my book? And the answer is no, because that strategy requires you to be able to pull out 20 to 35% out of your fixed income bucket per year. And if you can only pull out 10%, well, that's not enough. That's not enough access. So either way, paying 7% to get your money out is not free. It's like saying, hey, there's no cost to getting into this movie theater, but if you want to get out, it's going to be $50. Right? That is not a good deal on a movie. And so in the same way, allowing you to get into the product for free, but then charging you to get out of it is not a good deal. It does not make the product free. Okay? Number, what are we at? Number 4 here, I think, right? So we have, they have surrender periods, they have hidden costs. So number 3, I guess, insurance companies can change the rules. They can change the rules on you after you buy the product, right? And insurance companies are really good. They really love marketing their teaser rates, right? They often guarantee some really good rates in the first year or 2. But then they can change them in years 3 and beyond. And here's a couple ways that they mess with you after the fact, right? When they can change the cap and the floor. Let's say a fixed index annuity may boast a 6% cap with a 1% floor, right? So 6%, 6%, well, I can't get 6% anywhere else. Like, sign me up. That sounds great. But then in year 2, they change it to a 4% cap and a 0% floor. Wait, how many years am I stuck with the lower rates? 6 more years? Yeah, you can buy it thinking that you're getting this great rate, great floor, great ceiling, and then they change it, and then you're stuck with it for the rest of the time. So they can do that, and almost all contracts allow them to change that whatever they want after the first or second year. The other way that they can mess with you is that they can change the participation rate. And the participation rate of an index annuity is how much of the changes in the index you actually get. So, for example, a 100% participation rate means that you will get 100% of what the index does between the lines. A 50% rate means you will get half the movement, right? And this is where they can mess with you. So I'll give you an example. I think this will help. So let's take example A, right? Let's say you buy one when the annuity, you buy an annuity when the S&P 500 is is near an all-time high, and the market is. So let's look at an example. Example A. Let's say you buy one now when the S&P 500 is near an all-time high. They market it with a 100% participation rate, with a 10% cap and a 0% floor. And you're tired of all the volatility of 2020 through 2023, and you want something more stable. So you sign up. Market then drops 10% during the first year, and you lose nothing, right? Because there's a 0% floor. It's like, oh, this is great. We're doing pretty good. The market already is down, but I'm down nothing because I have a 0% floor. Then the market is up 15%. You think, well, at least I made 10%, right? It's up 15%, but 10% was the cap, and so I know I got 10%. And then you look at it, and nope, you got 7.5%. How's that? The market was up 15%. Shouldn't you have hit the 10% cap? Well, they changed the participation rate in year 2 to 50%. So you only got 50% of that growth. So 50% of 15 is 7.5%. And if you go to the episode blog for this, I've got a whole table. I won't recite it here on the podcast. But if you go to retirementmentorship.com/151, it'll go to this thing. You can see that where the difference that it can make by changing the participation rate each year over a 7-year period of owning the annuity. And so they shuffle it around between 10, 50, 25, 33, 80, 100% of the rate. And in the end, your money, if you put $100,000 at the beginning, will go from $100,000 to $138,000. But here's the thing. The index that the money was tracking went to $177,000. 3 times you hit the floor, and 3 times the market was over the cap. But you didn't hit the cap because of the participation rate. And only once did you actually hit the cap. Money invested straight into the index would have averaged 8.6%, while you only averaged 5.6%. Still think these annuities actually follow the index? They don't. This product would have cost you $40,000 in this example. And so again, they make it seem like they're these great products, have these great guarantees, but they can change it after the fact to screw you over. The next reason that they can mess with you is that index annuities often track specialty indexes. Right? Some products track the S&P 500, others track the S&P 500 point to point. Sounds the same, right? It's not. The short explanation is that they design these special versions of famous indexes that are designed to reduce the amount of money they need to pay you. I saw a history of a fixed index annuity once that followed one of these special S&P 500 indexes. It had a 5% cap and a 0% floor. And in the previous 5 years, the actual S&P 500 was up more than 5% or more 4 times, and it was negative once. Right? So out of 5 years, it was up more than 5% in 4 years, and it was negative 1 year. So they should have received, right? If it's a 0% floor and a 5% cap, they should have received 5% 4 times and 0% 1 time for an average of 4%. Right? Nope. Their average was 1.5%. How is this possible? Special S&P 500 indexes. Again, they can build this annuity, they can build this index specifically so that you get less money than they are initially promising you on the front end through their marketing and through sleazy rep language. Fifth reason I think we're on. Index annuity caps and floors are below average. The S&P 500 averages 10% annually over long periods of time. Okay? Thus, an annuity that offers a 0% floor and a 10% cap feels like you'd get close to that average, right? But upon closer look, you'll just see that that's not possible. We know that sometimes the market is down and has a negative return, right? A 4 to stop that sounds really good. We hate losing money. But if it averages 10%, we know that each time it is negative, it must be more than 10% higher than 10% to make up for it, right? If you have a negative 10% year, to average out to 10% positive, you would need a plus 30% year, right? If 10% is average and you're down negative 10, that's a 20% difference, which means you would need a positive 30 to make up for that, right? So if your floor is going to clip you off at of 10% of losses from 0 to negative 10, then you know it's also going to clip you 20% of gains. Instead of getting that 30, you're only going to get the 10. Index annuities cap your gains far more than they stop your losses by design. Right? The way that they have these designs is that they are going to they're going to cap your gains far more often than they are going to stop your losses. And that is by design. That is how they make money, obviously. Think about that. In example A above, even if you had had a 100% participation rate the whole time, you still would have been capped 4 out of 7 years. Your average return would improve, but only to 5.6 instead of 8.6%. You'd be up to $146,000 and still $30,000 short of the index. Reason number 6, index annuities don't pay dividends. One of the best reasons to be a co-owner of the best businesses in the world is that you get the profits, right? We're co-owners, we get the profits. Being a true owner, investing in a fund of the actual companies in the index means that you get the dividends that they pay quarterly. But when you buy an index annuity, you are not buying the companies. You are buying an insurance product that tracks the companies. This means you do not get dividends. Dividends generally make up 1 to 2% of the annual return of the S&P 500. If you slap a 1.5% dividend on example A above, that index would not average 8.6, but 10.1% with those dividends reinvested. You'd be up to $195,000 on your initial $100,000. Even if you had an index that had no caps and just tracked the S&P 500 for free, you would still lose money. Again, index annuities are not the same as investing. And lastly, some index annuities protect against very unlikely scenarios. There's some annuities that sound great, but are mostly useless. Right? For example, there's one with a 6-year point-to-point 100% cap and a 25% loss absorption. What this means is that they will check the index when you start and at the 6-year mark. And if the market is down at year 6, they will absorb the first 25% of losses. If it's down 10%, you break even, right? If it's down 30%, you're down 5%, right? They'll absorb. They don't add 25% to your loss. They just absorb the first 25% of losses. If the market is up, they will not cap it unless your money has more than doubled, right? So 100% growth. So if your money's up 80%, you'd make 80. If it's up 120%, you're only up 100%. They really sell this well, right? They say, do you think your money's going to be up double in the next 6 years? Neither do we, right? So no cap, the cap's really nothing to be worried about. But could your market be down 25% in 6 years? Definitely. So we get the downside protection with no fear of the upside cap. That's the promise, right? That's the sales marketing material. Here's the problem. Yes, in any given year or two, the market could drop by 25%. But the chances of it being down 6 years from now are really, really, really small. Right? If it drops now, it's probably recovered by 6 years from now. And if it drops in year 5, it probably grew so much in the meantime that you would still be above where you're at now. And so basically what you're trying to do is you were trying to time the bottom at the start. You would need your contract to expire in the bottom of a really, really bad bear market to make this work. If you had bought one on October 12th of 2016, it would have expired right at the bottom of the 2022 bear market, right? 25% down from the previous high. Good timing, right? That's exactly what we want. It's down 25% from the previous high. Like, that's exactly what we want. You perfectly time this thing to absorb some of your losses, right? No. Because here's the thing, right? The market was still up 67% over that 6-year period, even though you perfectly nailed it in the bottom of a bear market. If you had bought one on March 19th of 2014, it would have expired at the bottom of the COVID crash. Surely that would have limited your losses, right? The COVID crash fell 35% in 33 days, and you perfectly timed that to expire right at the bottom of that and absorb some of your losses. No, it didn't. Because the market was still up. Even at the bottom of the COVID crash, it was still up 29% from where it was 6 years ago. If you had timed it perfectly to expire on the lowest day of the global financial crisis, you would have had a 16% loss from 6 years earlier, right? The 100-year recession, 100-year bear market would be the only time when you would have gotten some loss absorption on your product. But who could have timed that? Right? Who could have timed that not even a year or two before, but 6 years in advance? What are the chances that you were going to perfectly time the next great recession to absorb some of those losses? Are you going to be able to do that? I doubt it. Meanwhile, you are still giving up dividends on all the other years that you would have if you just invested in the index itself. And you are getting no benefits for everything that you're giving up. The index annuity may be free, but the cost is extremely high. So here's the conclusion, right? Do not buy index annuities. There are only 3 reasons to buy an index annuity: downside protection, upside potential, and free. There's one more reason why they'll set you: huge commissions for the financial rep. There are 7 reasons not to buy one. They lock up your money. They have hidden costs. Companies bait and switch the options to reduce your return. They average less than the index they track by design. They skew the floors and the caps down below average. You miss out on the dividends, and the ones that have special bells and whistles protect against things that are extremely unlikely. Here's the alternative. Right? Instead of buying an index annuity, get a financial plan. You could start by reading my book, 3D Retirement Income, which we will send to you for free at retirementorship.com, or which you can read for free on Amazon Kindle or order the physical book. If you want help, you can work with a fee-only fiduciary certified financial planner. They will build that plan for you and help you implement it all without selling you mediocre insurance products for big commissions. Fee-only means no commissions, no sales. Do not buy an index annuity. Make a plan instead. I hope that helps. We'll see you next week. Cheers. If you enjoyed that, you would love being part of our free membership community. It's called Retire Membership, and it has a host of benefits, all for free. For example, you can always buy my book, 3D Retirement Income, on Amazon. But if you join us at Retire Membership, we will send you either a hard copy or paperback for free, provide the ebook and the audiobook so that you can listen to it if you don't have time to read it. In addition to that, we'll also provide you with a bunch of content that you can't get anywhere else. For example, we have our quarterly Retire Mentorship magazine, which comes out quarterly and has no ads whatsoever. It's just timely content to help you stay the course. We also have workbooks for our free online workshop to help you get the most out of those, flowcharts to help you make better decisions, and a weekly email to provide timely content that you can unsubscribe from at any time. We never ask for any payment information, and we never share your information with anyone else. We just want to provide timely content and help you stay the course to retire successfully and stay successfully retired. There's no reason to wait, so join us now at retiremembership.com, or you can click in the link in the description and it'll go right there. We can't wait to see you in the community. Cheers.